Hey bourbon fans, I'm Tim, the Suburban Dad. Have you ever been to a whiskey tasting before? Maybe you're interested, not quite sure how it goes or what to expect. Well, let's talk about it today. I hope unveil some of the mystery behind it and get you prepared for getting out there and tasting some whiskey. Let's get to it. So I recently had the very first Suburban Dad in-person whiskey tasting at a local restaurant, the Rackhouse Kitchen Wine Whiskey. Fantastic place, awesome. Over 300 whiskeys available to try there. So if you're in the St. Louis, St. Charles, Missouri area, they are absolutely worth coming to check out. So for the whiskey tasting, I selected 4 whiskeys, all bourbon, for the group to try. And in this case, I kept it a blind tasting, so I didn't tell anybody ahead of time what they were, what we're going to be trying. So that way you could go into it with unbiased opinion. Just try the bourbon, experience it, see what you think about it. And that way you're not having preconceived notions of what you might already like or not like. So we tried 4 different bourbons at 4 different proof points. The price range varied as well. We had everything from Maker's 46 up to Booker's Bardstown Batch, and it was a great time. And so what that looks like is we all sat down, we had some food available, and 4 bourbons in front of us in tasting glasses. And one by one we went through and we first analyzed, we looked at the bourbon and we nosed the bourbon to get kind of an idea of what flavors might carry over into the palate. And from there we tasted it. It's important to taste a bourbon first. The first taste is kind of to just get your palate acquainted with the bourbon, especially if it's the first drink of the day. That first taste is going to have a little bit more of an alcohol flavor to it just because your mouth isn't used to it yet. So sip a little bit, hold it in your mouth, not quite swish it or gargle it around your mouth, but definitely let it play over your tongue to cover all the different aspects of your tongue, which has different types of taste buds. So take a few sips, analyze it, let it reflect. How does it taste right up front when it first hits your tongue, as it's going over your tongue down your throat, and after you've swallowed, the aftertaste, the finish, as we like to call it. Is it warming? Does it hang around for a while, or is it over real quick? Those are all kind of things that you look for when you're tasting. Now we used 2 different forms to help guide us with the tasting process. The first was this bourbon flavor wheel. Basically, you start with the inner circle here, and that starts the process. Is the bourbon more spicy? Is it more fruitful or floral? Is it sweet? Is it wood flavored? Is there green to it? And from there you work your way out like spokes on a wheel. The next layer gets a little bit more detailed, and then the outer layer is the most specific. So it really helps guide your thoughts as to, okay, it's sweet, I know that much, start there. From there, is it sweet like candy? Is it more like a buttery caramel toffee flavor? Is it like baked goods sweet? Or is it spicy? Is it more like a aromatic baked goods spicy cinnamon cloves? Or is it more earthy like coffee or leather or tobacco, that kind of thing? So this is super helpful to really just guide your thought process, especially if you're new to tasting whiskey or bourbon. And this can really help to pick out some of those hard to pinpoint notes. The second form that we used was this tasting notes guide. Put the information about the bourbon on top. You have your color guide over here, so as you're visually analyzing the glass, you can see, okay, is it more light and pale? Is it real dark and rich colored? It gives you some description notes about flavor tones, but the wheel really is better for that. And then an opportunity to make some notes about what you're tasting. So not rocket surgery here, but it really just is an opportunity to help you clarify your thoughts and jot it down, especially if it's something that you want to revisit later. This is great if you want to use as a side-by-side, if you're doing a blind tasting between 2, 3, or even 4 different bourbons, to be able to jot down your notes and your thoughts, again, as an unbiased way of kind of analyzing the bourbon. Because it's easy to think, oh, I know what I like, and I like this brand, but I don't like this brand, or I like this particular expression from this brand. But you know what? When you do a blind tasting, all of that preconceived notion goes out the window. It can be very surprising. So I would highly recommend checking out a whiskey tasting. We'll be doing more in the future, so stay tuned for information as that comes available. I will keep you updated. As always, if you want to stay updated, it's very important that you subscribe. And hey, why not? Like this video. Until next time, cheers.